Okay, as I said in my last video, I wasn't going to cover all of the rebuild, but I do want to cover the upgrades we're making. I bought some parts that are not original, supposed to be better than stock, and I just want to cover what you got to do to put them in. The one thing I did mention was the lower first and second gear planetary, the planetary that lowers first and second gear, which we're not doing that right now. This is a what they call a low drag sprag right here. And here's the part number. It's a Borg & Warner. Where did I put it? So here is the part number. It's a Borg & Warner. Bought it off of eBay. And what you're supposed to do when you put it in, now here's the old original one. This is the spring cage here. As you can see, it's got some broken springs. Where were they? Yeah, here's one that's got a tab missing off of it. There's one there. And here's the bottom brass base it goes on. As you see, it's black because this transmission was starving for fluid because the pump failed. Here's what's left of the needle bearings, and this is what the new one looks like. Now, originally, this goes down in here, and it sets against a snap ring, which goes here. I've already removed it. It goes right into that little slot right there. Then what you do is you put original one. Now you put that in on top of the snap ring. You put the cage in. The snap ring goes on top. Now the instructions for this new Borg & Warner one says you get rid of the snap rings. You take them all out, which is a little scary to me. And you got to flip it over. It goes in just like this. See how these right here are tapered, and that isn't? Well, those are supposed to be in the same direction as these little ramps right here. And what you do is you line them up. It's supposed to go in. Now I've already had this in, and now that I'm on camera, it's not going to want to go in. And I just pushed a bearing out. Of course, see, that never happens off camera, it only happens on camera. So I get to put that back in. So hard to do with these gloves, which I should take off. Been trying to protect my hands here. There we go. Can't believe I did that with gloves on. Now, this thing is supposed to go in here. There we go. It's starting to go. Now it's slid in, as you can see, and you're supposed to rotate it, and it locks in. As you can see, I can't pull it out. You rotate it this way, I can pull it out, and then you rotate it and it locks in. Now this is the first time I've done one of these sprags, and that was a little scary to me when I figured it out last night. But I went back and went online and found some instructions, and that's what it says to do. And I did put it in the transmission, and I tuck it back out just to see if it stayed in place, and it does. So as you can see, I just moved that with a rag. So I think once you get it all in there, and this goes into the race, it's not supposed to be able to come back out. But honestly, I'm a little leery of it. So I'm going to go ahead . Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put that in. Now I've already got my aftermarket race with a Torrington bearing upgrade. That bearing just goes in there, and the race bolts in from the back. I've already got my case clutches in too, in case you're wondering about that. Here is the original race right here. As you can see, it had a groove ore in it. And that one is actually thinner than this one. This thickness right here, I forgot the exact difference, but it's to compensate for the thickness of that thrust washer compared to the, or the thrust bearing compared to the thickness of this thrust washer. So this hub that we just put this one-way sprag in is going to go in here. Just like this. These splines here go into your clutch splines. And I'm just going to rotate it until it engages in all the clutches. And the sprag's doing its thing. I can only turn it clockwise. So, and it should be all the way in. So now I'm going to have to put my shaft in, which you probably can't see. And I have polished up all of these journals which ride on the bushings. They were a little scored up because this transmission got so hot. And that rattling you hear is the parking gear. It's not engaged. Now it's engaged, but I can't turn the shaft. I need to be able to turn the shaft here, I think. Maybe. I don't think that moved. And let's see. We have this hub, which I've already cleaned up. Okay, now this goes in there, and I got a snet ring somewhere. It goes in there. In case you're wondering why I'm fighting this with gloves on, I'm just trying to get the habit of wearing gloves while working on this stuff. I usually work barehanded. And they say all them oils and cleaners, especially the cleaners, is really hard on you. Soaks in your skin, gets you in the bloodstream, gives you cancer and all kinds of stuff. But a lot of times I will try it for a while, then I get aggravated and take my gloves off. I guess protecting myself part of the time. See, there's a little groove in here. I need a screwdriver. I'm going to make sure it snaps in. I think it did. Shove my shaft all the way forward. I'm going to get me a screwdriver so I know that I'm pushing that all the way in. And a really bright light wherever my flashlight went. Don't see it. What to do without. It looks like it's in there. I'm gonna rig something up to check the end play. This is where you have two different places where you check end play, input shaft and output shaft. This is the output shaft, of course, the one in the rear. And I can check this before I put everything else together because that snap ring's in there now. I'm going to rig something up. It looks like it's got some, so that's good. That means the new thrust washer and everything is probably going to have correct in play within the tolerance. There's your new thrust washer. That lines up just like that. I'm going to put some fluid on it. Lube, just like if you was to put an engine together, when you lube your bearings, all thrust washers and bushings, you should lube up with transmission fluid. And another snap ring. I think that's all the way in now. There's another snap ring that holds this into place. Let's see how that's going to work out. Aha! There's what you got to do. You got to pull that out just a little bit so the snap ring will go in. Much better. And looks like it's in. Okay, so I'm going to set something up. It's not a very deep snap ring groove in there, but that's how that goes in. So I'm going to set something up to check the rear shaft in play. Tell you what I come up with. Okay, I just rigged up something quick. Clamped this piece of 1 inch by 1 inch tubing, square tubing, here and here. Clamp my indicator up just like that. And the specs, this really old Chilton's book shows the transmission in play. Turbine and stator is the front, and transmission in play is the rear output shaft. I believe you're allowed anywhere from 8 thousandths to 44 thousandths. We're kind of close to that maximum, and if I wanted to be picky, I could tighten it up by about 10 or 20. But I don't know if I'd gain any advantages from that. But what I'm going to do is, okay, now I've got the output shaft. Now when I shove it all the way forward where it's 0, I'm putting pressure on it, pushing towards the camera. If I let go, it kind of moves 4 thousandths that away. We'll take a screwdriver and put it in a little gap here behind the governor housing, and we'll slowly move it so we can keep track. Okay, there's 5. And now it's going to be stubborn. Let me grab another screwdriver. Smaller one. That big one don't want to go in that groove very well. Okay, there's 5. There's 10. Carefully do this so it don't move all at once. 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Yeah, a little bit over 37. So we're within specs. We're allowed 44. A little on the loose side, I guess, but I think that'll be just fine. We're within specs. So that's all of this video, and that's pretty much, I just wanted to cover that upgrade for that low drag sprag, as they call it, and the different race with the Torrington bearing. And we showed a little bit of assembly on that. And the other parts I want to show on this build is we're going to see what it takes to make this aftermarket lower first and second gear planetary work in this thing. It's supposed to be a bolt-in situation. I may have to make some adjustments on the end play, but we'll see. Thanks for watching.